Something bothering you?
Don't you get sick of doing the Techno's dirty work?
I'm keeping the peace.
They wrecked the peace. Seems to me they should be the ones to keep it. Or is it in your best interest to help out?
Meaning what?
Oh, well, nothing so profitable as a bit of collaboration, eh, Lex?
You should know all about that, Trudy. Supreme Mother to the Chosen. Or doesn't that count?
Welcome to Series 4, Episode 20 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining me on the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
And Tamsin.
Yes, I'm back.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 4, Episode 20. The screenplay was done by Joe Boyle. It was directed by Colin McCall. And the episode synopsis was read out by Tamsin.
The mole rats try to find out what has become of Amber. Ebony gets what she wants, but a surprise request from Ram could change everything.
Otherwise known as the day the plot finally arrived.
Yeah, so episode 20, we're finally clicking in.
Obviously, I mean, Amber's back.
Well, yeah, but it also arrived with Trudy, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, it's both of them. They herald it.
Yeah, but Trudy is just relegated to Amber's sidekick.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, that's true. Can we have a moment, like a fit check for Trudy, her costume?
Oh, yes.
What did we think of it?
I think she looks so good.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of her best looks.
Love it.
It is really good. I remember not liking it at the time, but now I really like it.
I mean, aside from it being completely impractical for where she lives and her lifestyle, it's still fabulous.
Mhm.
It is. I can't believe Amber's still going around in those maternity trousers. That's ridiculous. Like, no offense.
They're magic trousers.
Yeah, but I mean, they must be filthy. She gave birth in them without taking them off.
It's the adjustable waist. Everybody has a pair of sweats that they can't get rid of.
What about Amber's baby? He's a beautiful boy. He's at the Ecos with Brady.
You were with my tribe?
Amber and I just left them to go hunting. And the Technos got us both.
But she escaped and followed them to a building, which Chloe recognizes one that Ved took her to. Chloe then agrees to try and find out more, but Ved refuses to answer her. So yeah, with the welcoming back of Trudy, what do you make of her tale and Chloe's attempt later on to try and get information from Ved?
I'm just so ridiculously glad that, for once in her life, it was Trudy who escaped. At least they didn't give her the helpless damsel in distress part in that.
Oh, they already know that doesn't work with Trudy. We already have proof positive that if it was Trudy who'd gotten captured and
She would've
Amber
been there
came,
forever.
nobody would have mobilized to save her. So that's why this is the way it is. Of course, Trudy got away because otherwise nothing would happen. Just a harsh reality. Otherwise, I like this. I think it's plausible. It's a very simple explanation of how it happened, and it does add to the reach of the Technos. They are still actively taking people. It was suspected with Charlie going missing. Now we have confirmation that they are still actively taking people, but for what purpose? We still don't know. I like that. And they're even going as far afield as 30 miles outside of the city. That is quite a reach because that is where our Gaians are located, at least in that neck of the woods. What are the Technos doing all the way out there grabbing people? So I like that added lore. It won't make sense later, but for now it's pretty cool. And I like that they actually show it. They actually took the time to, give us the flash of what happened of Trudy, following them and, Amber being taken, all that stuff. That's pretty cool. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, thank you. I appreciate the freaking effort to, use the medium of visual storytelling. And so I was like, all right, fine. I buy it. This is where we are.
I also like that how capable Trudy has been in season 4. Like, we haven't seen a lot of her, but when we last saw her, she was really capable with Amber in the woods. She was kind of keeping them together when Amber was falling apart mentally. And we see her now. So there wasn't anything she could do to rescue Amber. What she did was make sure she sort of knew where it was, sort of mapped out the frontage of the building, and then essentially went and got help.
It was efficient storytelling.
Yeah,
Yeah. Trudy realizes what's necessary to get someone
yeah.
back.
Go Trudy. Did everyone else feel that it was nice to see a lot of characters in the mall again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll even take Sammy. Just to fill out the
Yeah.
body count. It was just nice to see some bodies around the damn table again.
Right. Just
Yeah.
that simple fact. It suddenly felt whole again.
And I like Trudy pointing it out. Where is everyone else? Like, normally we're not
Yeah.
supposed to notice that there's people missing, but at least he
And
points it out.
and then everyone remembers, and the show remembers that we should be upset that everybody's gone. She has an actual reaction to everybody being gone,
Mm-hmm.
and is like, "I'm sorry, what?" You know what I mean? Because you gotta think they left. They didn't come back because they didn't know what was going on in the city. They knew it was under attack, but apparently they still believed their friends were there. That's why she came here. So I did like that was brought up. Like, where is everyone? I didn't expect to come back to a skeleton crew.
I just really liked when she brought up Bray, just at least first she knows the others are missing, and then she just pointed out, and like, oh, so they were taken like Bray, without even thinking about it, and you see the response on Celine's face just on a name alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good moment.
I liked when Ved got mentioned and Trudy was like, who's Ved? And it did give you that feeling of, when you like leave a job, but you're still friends with your old workmates,
Mm-hmm.
and then colleagues start mentioning other people's names, and you're like, who is that? It felt very much like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like all this stuff had gone on and she didn't know anything about it. So yeah, I really like that.
An upside and downside to the scene, because again,
Mhm.
it's great to see Trudy and she's giving the right energy and the lines are good. The upside is that yes, we needed this energy, this kind of concern. The downside is this is the kind of energy we should have had all along.
Yeah.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
in some ways it's detrimental because Trudy arriving and the fact that it's very clear she and Amber have still been upset about Bray's disappearance. It's partly why they've clearly stayed clear of the city, and she is devastated to hear that so many of their friends were also taken. Just reminds us that our heroes we've been stuck with
Mm.
have not been showing the right amount of energy for what's been happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the slight downside to her bringing this energy, because you're just like, where has this been?
Well, we'll pick that up slightly because obviously we had that main energy came from Ellie, didn't it? And since Ellie's been gone, we've lost that voice altogether because we weren't getting it from Lex.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else in that mall, even like Pride, is the only other person who's lost someone that he, like his booty call's gone. But Ellie and Lex, Ellie lost her boyfriend, her
Sister?
her other boyfriend, and Lex lost his wife. They really lost people, but Celine didn't really lose anyone, did she? And Pride lost a booty call that, let's be honest, he was kind of glad to see the back of face, should we say? Maybe that's
You're saying
being
the same thing.
uncharitable. But yeah, it feels like you're right. We had that a little bit in the beginning with Ellie. But as soon as she disappeared, it disappeared with her.
But and it also speaks to, this is a problem the show has always had. When we are focused on our heroes, they have to get over things fast because the plot has to move forward. But anybody who's ever gone away it's like nothing has changed for them. They're always pretty much stuck in the same emotional headspace they were the last time we saw them. So, of course, Trudy and Amber are still upset about Bray, and they're still upset at the idea of people being taken away. And that is just an issue with the show. And I can't even remember, but like, remember Amber, we get her back. And the Mallrats had held the entirety of season 2 to make peace with her and Zondra's deaths and just move on. Bray fell in love again, on and on. And Amber is still pissed off at Bray because of a lie Ebony told her. Like, there's been no growth. And so
Yeah.
that's also happening here, that there has been no just moving on for Trudy and Amber because they're still exactly where we left them.
Do you think that that might be a confusion with the actual timeline? Because the timeline always seems to be so sketchy. Or do you think it's just a writing issue?
I think it's just a writing issue.
Mm.
Because I can handle time being pretty ambiguous. I can handle that. But if you are going to feature that the people we're following are evolving, then you have to acknowledge that people who go away are also going to evolve. They're going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's an interesting discussion because I was just thinking because they did kind of do that with both Jack and Chloe when they returned. Like you did
Yep.
feel
Yeah.
like they had off-screen growth, and were going through things that we weren't privy to. But it really does feel like Trudy and Amber was exactly from when we left them at episode 1. Like nothing's happened, right in their personal lives.
Partially,
Uh,
because at least we get, some skills, some growth skills-wise for Trudy.
Well, she's had that before, though. Like we knew that about her. We knew she was quite capable once she had re-educated with the Dians after her conversion from the brainwashing. But I don't know. It does just feel like we're just picking up from episode 1, and rather than they've lived a life in between.
Like, their hearts never change. When the person is taken away and we're reunited, their hearts never change. Nothing has happened to change how they feel about anything that they last felt about. And I just think that's unrealistic. I'm not saying that Jack shouldn't still be in love with Ellie when he comes back, but you're implying that Ellie could go through all of these changes during her captivity, and Jack really didn't go through any emotional changes. He's exactly just as hard in love with her as he was when he left. And I think Celine is the only one who has genuinely made an almost unbelievable change.
Yeah.
She's like the only one who's not even remotely close to where she was emotionally last time we saw her, to the point where you're like, how did that change occur? Like, what? I need to know more about your story because you changed so much. Everybody else, though, they're pretty much emotionally the same person they were when they left.
I think for Celine it makes sense, though, that she changed so much. Like, she finally had no one else to do it for her. She had to step up.
My point is just the inconsistency in it. It's like they don't think about the characters once they're gone. They just take them off the board, and they do not create a life for them outside of the board. And then when they pick them up and bring them back, they haven't given them a life. They haven't given it any thought. The character is simply who they need to be, whatever the plot has said they need to be now that they're back. Of course, Jack's still in love with Ellie when he comes back because that's part of the plot. That's part of the conflict. Of course, Celine isn't who she was because the plot needs her not to be, and I just would have liked to see in the show more thorough thought put into the fact that just because someone goes away doesn't mean they remain the same or just have an overnight change. Life happens to you, and that's all.
I would say, especially in this world, because it is so wild and dangerous. And so once they leave the city, they're going into uncharted territory. We don't know what is going on in the rest of the map. So you could fill it in with these really interesting stories where they actually tell us about an adventure that they had or something. And they just fill in the rest of the map, which would have been quite cool. We kind of got that a little bit when Chloe came back and she said she'd been travelling with some other people when they sort of all left the mines, and then she was the only one who came back to the city. But like you say, it's few and far between. You miss the days when Dal went off and he met Sasha, Trudy and Dal and their side quests back in season 1.
And yet, would we have seen any evidence that Dal had an adventure if it had been off screen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like if Dal had just gone away and we didn't get to watch what happened to him, Dal would have come back and we would have never been given a grand picture of what he experienced out there, what made him want to come back. You know, he would have just given us like a one sentence, yeah, I just discovered home is where the heart is or something. You know, that would have been it. We
Yeah.
wouldn't get the, I
Mhm.
was captured by freaking slavers who drew me in by making me think they were really decent people. And I thought they were cannibals for a time. And I met this really great guy, traveling musician, all that stuff. And we almost got sold out. You know, we wouldn't have known any of that.
Mhm.
It also shows you, though, how small the world is now. Because we had all that stuff going on. We had an entire side quest in season 1. And now we're lucky that we got a flashback to Amber being taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
At
as
least
for
it's something.
Yeah, it's something. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm glad they at least gave me a flashback. Something, you know? As for
And right now, that's more than we can expect.
Yeah. As for Chloe, again, I just think this would work so much better if we'd been given some insight into what's going through Chloe's head and what she's been feeling about being in love with, falling for somebody who is responsible for half her family being gone, and again, that hasn't come up between her and Ved. That hasn't been an issue for her, apparently, and so in this moment when she has to admit, I know what building you're talking about, it doesn't have the punch it should. Like if we'd been following Chloe's actual emotional state this whole time, imagine the gut punch it would be in this moment for Chloe to realize, this darkness that she has been apprehensive about, but convincing herself isn't really there because Ved's different, he's different with her, and
Mhm.
just forcing herself not to believe any of that. And here she's getting confirmation that there is something darker and that her fears and her worries about whether she should trust Ved are valid. It would have a greater punch, but because we have no idea if Chloe has even been concerned about him being a techno, it doesn't land. It's useful exposition. It makes her a useful piece in this plot, but emotionally doesn't resonate. It in this moment, it almost feels like the Ved Chloe plotline is just to facilitate this plotline.
Yeah.
Like convenient that she fell for this guy who happened to take her to this forbidden building so that we can have the information to find Amber. And Lex, where do you get off? The way he says Ved's name with such like disdain. Like
Mhm.
Chloe's the only one dating a techno right now, and the fact that nobody said anything probably just goes, Lex, not now. You know what I mean? It annoyed me. I was like, because Lex and Siva's story I don't get me wrong, I don't hate them. It's just the potential the story could have had. So for him to be like, oh, that techno you're dating, that Ved guy, like, I'm sorry, what about your techno? Maybe she knows what building they're talking about.
Big chance.
I found the conversation between Chloe and Ved, since the question does touch on that, awkward. I don't know if it was the writing or if it was Chloe's acting, like her delivery. And I feel bad because I love Chloe, for the most part. Like in general, overall, I love Chloe. And I just didn't feel like I thought Dan was handling Ved's lines fine, but I don't think either one of them was given the best dialogue. I don't know who wrote this conversation. It didn't feel natural. And I don't know if she was just trying to play it awkward as somebody trying to push for information without seeming like she's pushing for information. But something about it just felt really off, even though I appreciated it being a location.
I agree.
It was a little weird. But I appreciate it being a location shot.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I really enjoyed, even though, again, I don't think they've handled the reality of the electricity suddenly coming back on after a solid 2 years of it being gone, in a way that has any profound meaning. But I did like the block party. Kids like putting up string lights and blasting music and playing. I even love Lex's description of the crazy things he's seen out there, what people are doing with power just because they have it. Like the guy with the drill just surrounded by holes.
I really like that. Yeah.
That was fantastic world building.
I
Yeah.
hated that whole block party bit, to be honest.
Please share. I want to know why.
I mean, just the general like overview. Like you got an invading city, you've barely got enough food, like, and you're missing your like whole heaps of your tribe have been taken away from you, and you're out dancing and partying in the streets. Like,
You
just
are
a
very right.
huge disconnect.
It does seem it is a massive disconnect, and it has been made very clear that the kids in this city are always on the fence of how they feel about all this. But the reason I think I accept that this is a very realistic reaction is because I live in America, and I literally see this cognitive dissonance every day right now with people forgetting the reality of what's actually happening and being pleased over BS. And so for me, I was just like, yeah, I've seen this before. I see it every day. Of course, they're pleased that they can blast their music, and play the electric guitar and have string lights and have a block party anywhere they want to now. And it's not a big hassle. They just need to plug in their stuff.
And they are children as well. Let's not forget that. They are still kids.
Yeah, but I don't like that excuse because kids have a lot of emotional range, and like you hold on to things a lot longer. So just to dismiss the emotional ties you have to people that easily,
They should.
Oh no, I'm just talking about turning the electric, like that they've got all the electric, every gadget on. Like the blender's on, and there's the thing inside it. They've just turned it on, because they can.
Oh yeah, that I get.
Remember, the faceless people who are still upset, they only show up when the plot demands. The faceless people who are genuinely and rightfully still pissed at the technos, still have a problem with the technos, don't want to accept anything in the technos, they don't get any screen time unless the plot needs them to be there.
Yeah, they're just sulking somewhere.
Right. They just want to focus on the people the technos are winning over. And this group is getting crunk tonight.
Yeah.
Like, simple pleasures, baby.
Jay,
Hi.
is there something I can do?
I just wondered if you had time to change my dressings.
Because while this is all happening, Jay does visit Ebony under the pretense of having his dressings changed. But this leads to them both ending up in bed together. Simple question, panel. How did you react to Ebony finally getting her man?
Finally.
Sorry, I am completely unashamed. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way.
Yeah. I was inexplicably just delighted.
Mm-hmm. And
I
Jay,
loved it all.
Jay, can you be any more obvious? I need my dressings changed. Come on. Any
I will change
excuse
these
to get naked,
dressings.
right?
Such
No
a
problem.
line.
Yeah, 100%. Loved
Even
it.
the way he's scrambling for a reason to be at her door, other than he just wanted to look at that majestic face.
I loved Ebony's knowing smile. Like, she's like, I know why you're here. Don't play coy, cowboy.
He's like, come in, I'll accept.
Yeah, why not? But the chemistry between them has been incredible.
Yeah.
And, I think this is a good point for them to actually have done this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great to see in the end, though, that Ebony is that little tiny bit insecure.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like
oh
a
my
girl-
god, that would have so put me off. Like, how many people have you slept with before? Who was the last person you slept with? Like, these are not questions you say after sex. Like, what the heck?
If it's like it's her insecurity.
Yeah, it's such a turn off.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the James props because I don't think he does it better with anybody. I mean, he is good at this. I'm so into you eyes. Like
Yeah.
he does have it cornered. He's really good at it, but I don't think he does it better with anybody other than Ebony. Like
No.
he gives Trudy the bedroom eyes. He gives Amber the bedroom eyes, but with Ebony, I believe it. Like
Mhm.
he is
Yeah.
enamored with this girl. You know, with Trudy, it often felt awkward, and then with Amber, it felt forced.
Yeah.
You know, but with Ebony, I felt like, yeah, he has fallen. He was not expect. She is his Pocahontas. You know what I mean? Like he is
Mhm.
like, I didn't know the new world was going to introduce me to all this. You know, I had it all figured out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, and then you just came and threw a wrench in my plans, and I am for it. And you know what? He has the audacity to look so blissfully happy every morning after with every girl that later I'm going to want to kick him in the teeth for it. Like, seriously, I have never seen a guy in this show who looks that pleased with himself, so just blissed out happy the morning after. Every girl.
You tired of life?
I'm tired of being cooped up here. I'm tired of being a fantasy toy for that creep.
Then why did you agree to it? I'll tell you why. Because he fed you when you were starving, put clothes on your back. You've seen the way the Verts live in this town, like animals. Is that how you want to end up?
So yeah, panel, how did you react to the aftermath of Siva's punishment and her conversation with Java?
Well, it feels like it's gotten real, hasn't it? Because I think Siva, previous to this, has always thought that she could talk her way out of a situation if it was ever exposed or, but now she knows that she will be deleted if her affair is discovered. And this is suddenly super real for her.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely, the actress is putting across that this just got real and that she is scared. Whereas, she understood she was risking something. She's put in a little danger, but she felt she had it covered and it was fun. It was enjoyable. And it was nice to actually want somebody and be with somebody, and even imagine a life outside of the one she's accepted for herself. But then, yeah, the reality of why she's even in this life hits her in the face, and it's terrifying. She's really portraying that well. I even like the moment with her and Lex. Aside from everything else I don't like about their relationship, most of it being on Lex, I did like that moment. It's like someone told Caleb he could show up and act today, so he did, and I really loved Java too. I just like how succinct and to the point she was, and protective of her sister. Like, what the frick you're doing? And also, if you accept my lore that Siva's only there because Java talked her into it because that was the only way she could get Ram, it adds even more to her motive of stopping her sister from wrecking what they have. It's a good moment.
And it might actually even be because we saw that sisterly moment last week between Ebony and Siva. And this might be a way of also giving Java and Siva that sisterly moment. Admittedly, Java has got the more spiky personality and she's more out for herself than Ebony appears to be. But yeah, it's kind of an echo of that, isn't it? I liked where she said, "You tired of living?" Because Java understands what will happen if Ram finds out about this.
Yep, she just opened the door and looked at Lex. Get out. I'm not talking to you. Just get the frick out. And then what she says to Siva, and I like Siva just breaking down, I'm sick of being this guy's fantasy plaything.
Yeah.
I want something real. I want something for me. I want something I've chosen. And then Java. And then the thing is, Siva does have to face facts. She did choose to do this. It was under duress, but it was a choice and she has chosen to stay. And you do have to take some responsibility for that and the ramifications of leaving, and what could happen to you if you do, this is serious. This is not time to play. I don't care how pretty his face is,
Mm. And there's no going back either.
I also think it's important because it's not like Java hasn't been privy to the fact that Siva was stepping out. But the minute it starts to get serious, that's when Java has to put a stop to it.
Mm.
Because it's like you're going to get yourself in serious trouble. And
potentially me as well.
Right. And there is, again, you could argue a protectiveness there. They have been together since it ended.
Mm.
There is an affection and a sense of keeping each other alive and having each other's back and doing this together. and so yeah, it's like, what are you doing? I have to save you from yourself.
It's such a shame that we didn't get more of a sort of sense of a backstory between them, and that we didn't really we learn in this that Ram fed Java and Siva when they didn't have any food. He clothed them. They were
Mm.
clearly struggling without him, but I don't know, it just feels like with the technos not filling in where they actually come from. It's just that I'm gonna press the button, missed opportunity.
Yeah, agreed.
Hmm.
Mouse and Sammy try to record Pride and Celine kissing, but they instead find the recorder and pretend that they are planning to eat the kids.
I think we've waited long enough, and I'm fed up with those T-bars anyway.
It makes my mouth water just to think of it. Fried leg of Sammy.
And roast shoulder of mouse. Yum.
They're gonna eat us.
I think they're tasty enough now. And with the electricity and all, we can just bung them in the oven.
So, I mean, yeah, what did you make of this lighter plot in the middle of all these?
I liked it.
It reminded me of earlier seasons, and I
Yeah,
don't know, there's something really cute and sweet and mindless about it.
I like the way that Celine and Pride played along as well. I thought that was really nice.
Hmm.
I thought Jacinta, who played Mouse, I think she's great. She's so good at comedy, and she's got this lightness. And I loved when she was talking about kissing and she was like, one another. But and it was like, I just thought that was really funny. I might use that in my technique next time. That was quite nice. Want another? Yeah, I just loved it. And I think she's got a better chemistry with Sammy than she had with Charlie.
I was gonna say the same thing, yeah. Even though I don't really care for Sammy all that much, I agree. She does have better chemistry with him than she did with her brother.
Agreed,
And
yeah.
yeah, it was just a nice little light. And I like Chloe as well when she was on the bed with them and she said, I'm gonna get me a knife and fork. I wanna taste Mouse's toes. And it was just it
Cute.
reminded you of how much Chloe had actually grown up because we're kind of used to her. Essentially, she's a babysitter again to these younger kids. But it reminded us that no, she's much older than, she's been in this sort of position herself. And it was just really nice and it was light and it worked.
Yeah, it was a nice little moment. I did like it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you get aside the creepy part of them putting the tape recorder under the bed of a couple, once you kind of turn that part of your brain off.
Yeah, I don't think for the age they are, it's more hilarious than anything else.
Hmm.
I know, because the most scandalous thing they think they're gonna hear is kissing.
I
Yeah.
know. What if they had heard more, though?
Oh,
Hey,
stop.
what else?
Awful.
What else is there? There's just
Well,
kissing,
there's hugging. There's hugging.
Yeah, but for the kids, hugging
Hand
comes before
holding.
kissing. Kissing is that's
Yeah,
the
that's
home
That's-
true.
run.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they're here for.
Because, I mean, what is the stages? It's intense hand holding, hugging, then kissing.
Well, you
Yeah.
gotta have longing gazes first.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
And then magically the stork comes by.
we don't want that.
It was a nice, lighthearted B plot that was reminiscent of earlier seasons. I was happy to see it.
It's nice to see Chloe as something else than just the moody teenage girl pining for Ved.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, yeah. Appreciated that, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, they were all very cute together. Again, I feel like the directors actually directed the characters in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're doing. This is what I want from you. This is what I want you to convey to the camera. And they did, because again, these are all talented actors, but they still need their director to tell them what we're going for here, since the script certainly isn't giving them a lot of motivation for much of the things they do. And so I felt like this was a directed episode. Somebody was talking to these kids and saying, this is what I'm trying to get. This is what I'm trying to capture. So yeah, and it was precious. And I especially loved Chloe threatening to eat Mouse's toes.
Of course it counts, Lex. Every day I have to deal with having done that. But there is a big difference to what I did then and what you are doing now.
Here we go.
The Chosen didn't give you a choice. They got into your minds whether you wanted them to or not. But it seems that what you're doing for the Technos did not take a lot of persuasion.
So yeah, panel, what did you make of the conversation between the two?
Well, it's like, now that Trudy's back, the writers have remembered the dynamics of some of these characters. And I loved the fact that Lex and Trudy's dynamic is the way it's always been. Lex does not like Trudy. He doesn't trust her. And Trudy always feels like Lex doesn't make any sort of, he doesn't understand anything. He holds everything against her. He never allows her to sort of prove, it's always, yeah, but you used to be the Supreme Mother. And I really liked their dynamic when they were the only two people at the table and they were having that conversation. And it reminded you of their relationship, which is just like this. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good scene. I liked what they said to each other. And I do agree with Trudy. I agree that there's a big difference between what was going on with the Chosen and what's going on with the Technos. And I even feel her frustration at just like, you guys are just passively going along with this. And I the Technos haven't threatened to kill anybody. You could just go away. You don't have to stay here and put up with what's happening in the city.
Yeah.
And yet they're just chilling. They're just living under the Techno regime and acting like, no choice,
Mm.
And so I can feel her frustration. The Chosen did kill people openly, straight in your face, if you didn't get on your knees fast enough. It was a very different situation. Not to mention, obviously, they had her child, they kidnapped her, blah, blah, blah. Very different situation. So yeah, I felt like that was something that needed to be said. I felt like it's the audience talking to the Mallrats and saying, "Are you guys serious? You've just been going along with this,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it does make sense that she points that frustration at Lex, of all people, since he is working side by side with Ebony, and they've literally just come off a conversation with him and Dee talking about doing their duties in the city. So it flowed organically to this. Aren't you tired of just going along with this kind of stuff and collaborating with the enemy? And of course, he defends himself by saying, "Oh, you know all about collaboration. You betrayed all of us." You know what I mean? On and on. It's a really good moment. I do side with Trudy here that there is a difference.
Yeah. Did you also think the elephant in the room was that we keep talking about how they're forgetting some of the missing characters, and the elephant in the room was that Tysan was also the Supreme Mother at one point.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not as easy as Lex seems to think it is, building on your point, Liz, and your point, Sabine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't go there,
We
but
can't
yeah.
mention her because, yeah.
I think it's a good thing they did put this scene in because, Trudy gets so much hate for the choices she makes
Mm,
or she had made. And then here they are, not really under any threat other than someone taking their electricity away again.
mm.
It's not like the Technos are threatening to harm them if they leave at this point in time. They're free to go.
Yeah, I mean, the question would be, why are you actually staying if you know there's no chance you'll ever get your people back?
Yeah,
Why are you continuing to work for these people? Why do you not just leave? Your life is over in this city.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Like, are you guys serious? I've come back and you tell me half our tribe is missing and you're just working with the Technos.
you're not
Okay.
doing anything about it, but the
Right.
Technos are feeding you, so you're fine with it because they give you T-bars.
Like, what are you all doing here?
Working with and sleeping with the Technos.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
If I was Trudy, my mind would be blown. I'd be like, wait,
Mm.
what? Are you guys serious right
Well,
now?
do you remember
And
all of that Celine and Ellie and Trudy got for collaborating and having relationships with and
Mhm.
joining the Chosen? And you're telling me that Lex and Chloe are in relationships with these people and you guys don't even really care. We've got one coming here every other day and you don't even care.
yeah, you just
But
shrug.
and obviously Celine has no right to speak on that matter. But it's like, and I think that's part of the point. Nobody is there to speak on the hypocrisy of it.
Yeah.
It's about how easy they just slid into this passive, this is our lives now, and there's no reason it needs to be your life. Like, it made way more sense when the Mallrats were just like, the Mallrats were literally imprisoned in their home. You know,
Mhm.
Danny was murdered on the beach in front of them. They don't remember, but it happened. And and they were still like fighting amongst themselves whether they should just go along just so they could eat, you know, just so they weren't
Yeah.
having to work themselves to the bone. It was a conflict of what was the right way to go about this, and how easy they've submitted to the technos just running their city, having taken people they love, and they're just like, struggles.
It's like
Guess there's nothing we can do about this.
they're not trying to get them back, and there is Pride sitting there who knows exactly how to get to a better place than this whole city is.
Yeah.
He could have easily, like with not taking, like, even if he would ignore Lex, he could have easily taken Celine and
Yeah.
Mouse and, well, back then Charlie out of there.
Yeah. The fact that it's never occurred to Pride to go home is I'm sorry, he's not been given a strong enough reason to fight for the city. Just because
Yeah.
Amber mentioned it once. It's not enough, because it never occurred to him to just, I'm going home, come with me, we can live a better life. We don't have to stay here if you're
He's not waiting for me. He's not holding a
no.
place for me in case she comes back. Like,
Mm-mm.
literally, you would, logically, you would say, Amber and Bray and the baby and probably Trudy have all gone to find the Ecos. They're living with the Eco camp, and I am going to go home. Because I was really only here because Amber was here, and now that I know Amber's probably back at home, I'm not staying here. And like you say, if Celine and Mouse and Sammy or Charlie want to come, we'll all go together. If Chloe wants to come, we'll take Chloe. But as it is, it's bizarre. But it goes back to, do you remember when they held on to Dal as the character for much longer than they should have? Like, he should have left in season 2, been out in the farm. He shouldn't have died in season 3, and he should have gone from being a main cast to recurring cast. But they
Yeah.
held on for him for too long, and it didn't make any sense anymore. And the same things happened to Bride, because we need another male inside the mall that isn't Lex, that can kind of take up that position of where Bray was. And so it will have to be Pride, because we don't have anybody else.
Yeah, this episode, there's so much good stuff in it and good things being brought up that it unfortunately just brings out the inconsistency of the season in general,
Yeah.
and you're stuck with Trudy going, but why? Why is this? It's what I want to know.
She has the best "I'm surrounded by idiots" face, though.
Mm. It does, though. It does feel like, I know we started off by saying it's because Amber's back, but I still think it's because Trudy's back. Trudy's brought, the plot with her. Thank God for you, Trudy.
We were floundering.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, because all of the people, like, we've lost Sam, we've lost Ellie, we've lost Alice. We have lost all of the characters who put up a fight against the Chosen within what they could do. Like, the little they could do, they did what they could do. The characters that we've been left with talk a big fight, but they bring nothing to the table, you know.
And that being said, it's not that I need these guys to go full rebel mode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have done that before. And you can still tell a story about a passive resistance. But again, that needs to be character driven, which means you need to take the time to explore the character's internal turmoil. And they do not want to do that. So instead, you're just bored and confounded by the character's actions,
Mm.
when this could have still been quite interesting, following our characters who, the last time there was a takeover, we watched them fight tooth and nail with the enemy and with themselves, trying to cope with that. And this time they're too tired, they're too defeated, whatever. But we could actually enjoy watching them struggle to deal with this, but there is no struggle. These guys are just existing, waiting for a plot to happen, waiting to be necessary to the story, waiting to matter. And here it comes.
And one other thing. If I'm destroyed, you're stuck here. Sevi, I triple locked the black room door. I know. I'm mad. Ooh, watch out for that one. She's clever.
Later, Ram asks Ebony to be his third wife, likening the arrangement to a collector wanting a prized piece, giving her until the flowers he presents her start to fade in order to give him an answer. So yeah, panel, what were your first thoughts on this virtual reality game and Ram's proposal to Ebony?
Well, this is so Ebony, isn't it? She finally gets what she thinks she wants, and then it's taken away from her again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to unpack here. I don't want to crap on the tech entirely.
Please do.
Please do. I actually like some of the ideas behind the tech. I do. We play these kind of games anyway. First-person shooters. They're very popular. And that should be fun. That should be fun enough. But the idea that for Ram, the sadist, that it's only more fun if the people you're shooting are actual human beings who are trapped in this reality and forced to fight for their lives and can actually feel what you're doing to them. That is messed up and really fleshes Ram out. Like, wow, okay. And I do love the reveal of it, that Ebony thinks she's playing a game, and then you see her physical confusion at actually being in virtual reality. I thought that was good. Like, this is bizarre. This is new. This is uncomfortable. The way she's reacting to Ram walking, the way he calls her out. Like, what do you think? I was going to wheel myself in here? I can be anything I want in here. He's showing off to her. And I think that's all really great. And again, she's mostly just confounded by everything around her because her surroundings have changed. She knows she's in a chair in a black room, but here she is. She's outside and can't anticipate what's going to happen. And Ram has armed her. What the frick is going to happen in here? I think that's all really well done. And then, of course, these people start showing up and he shoots them and they just blink out of existence. Oh, okay. This is like Space Invaders? You created this? Oh, all right. And she gets into it. And then all of a sudden there's a familiar face. Her arch enemy is sitting there. Like, how did you get her likeness? What the heck, man? Like, I think that's all really great. And then, of course, the reveal later that these are actual people. And then, of course, we'll learn in the future what Amber says about being in this game. I think that's all awesome. The reality of them actually being able to do this and the logistics, still stupid. Still really stupid. But I like the ideas here. I do. I do have to wonder, though, what's the point of it? Is it actually necessary to hook people up to be your nemesis in a game like this? And the whole long-term point of Ram wanting to be in cyberspace for 1,000 years, was this necessary? You can capture people's likenesses. You're just shooting them on sight. You want them to be addicted to the game. At the end of the day, the broader story, this is dumb. Like, it's not necessary and really stupid.
Well, I'm going to say, though, is he testing what happens to their bodies after they've been in there for such a long period of time? Like, extended periods inside reality space? Is he using them as guinea pigs to see what would happen to him? If he wants to spend 1,000 years in, he's not going to it's not going to be him the first time, is it?
No.
That's something.
So, yeah.
Of course, that falls apart. That falls apart because they discover pretty quickly that these people burn out.
Well, yes. Now, yes, but is that
and he still goes into what he thinks is cyberspace for 1,000 years. So I can't. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, clearly he wasn't really testing whether it would affect him.
He was desperate. He was dying. He just almost died. I think
Don't
when he
remind don't
decided to go
remind
in,
me
he
that he was
didn't have a
supposed to be
choice.
don't remind me he was supposed to be dying. Please
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. But
I hate this whole thing.
I do like the fact that, like, the moment Ebony sees Amber in there,
Yeah,
it kind of feels like that's the moment she realizes, oh wait, this isn't just something he designed. And if she's in here and I'm in here, does that mean Amber's hooked up to this whole
yeah.
program as well? You
How
know?
did he get her likeness?
Oh, you think she made a connection on that moment?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
Well,
think
you can
so.
see it's a
Yeah,
question on her face. Like,
yeah,
how did you get her likeness? How do you know who she is? Like,
yeah,
because as far as she knows, Amber left the city before the Technos came. So it's like, yeah, it's one thing to see randos on the street that she doesn't recognize.
Mhm.
yeah.
But to
But
see an
Amber?
actual person
Yeah.
that she knows, how does he have her likeness in here? And that you can see the questions in her eyes.
Yeah, because the other question you might ask is, maybe Amber hasn't been taken, but can he read my mind in here?
Right.
Mhm.
There's just like a lot of things you'd be asking yourself at that point. Like, how do you have someone that I actually know here?
It's all on her face.
Yeah.
You can see it. She's thinking, what is this? And why have I just seen Amber? And what does that mean?
Hmm.
And I liked also when he said I've deadlocked the door. So if anything happens
Oh,
to me,
sorry, that
I
was stupid.
loved it.
No, that was just so stupid.
That was
You
pretty
really,
dumb.
really set up a fail
Crazy.
safe. So if you get killed, that's like, come off it. No, sorry, that Ram
Yeah,
of all
but he
people.
just wanted to put her. It like the thing is, he just wanted to unnerve her. He loves unnerving people and making her play this game with her freaked out that if he dies, she'll die, and him kind of like throwing his head back and laughing as he says it, and it's like, yeah.
I agree. I don't think that
Mhm.
that's what would happen. And I think he's just saying it to mess with her because he does enjoy
He
doing
loves
that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a way to push her to play,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That's
because
what it
that's what
was.
he wants to
Yeah,
do. You know, he wants to play. He wants to uh I can't think of the word. My brain isn't working, but he wants to look at her. He wants to watch her play,
Mhm.
yeah,
observe her, you know, and again, if some of it's just about control, you know, he's all about that and being able to manipulate people doing what he wants them to do because it's part of his game. This is all for his enjoyment. And yeah, I don't believe that if something happened to him, she would just be trapped in here forever. You know, like
no,
no one,
Yeah.
I don't believe that. But it's what's important is that she believes it. She thinks, because again,
yeah,
she's never experienced anything like this before. She literally has no idea what any of this is or what could happen. And the fact that he created this in the first place is already mind blowing. So yeah, as long as she believes it, get your laser up, girl. You got to protect each other in here.
but it's not just about watching her play. It's also about forcing her to play with him.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play with you, and so I'm going to force you into doing this thing. Yeah, it. I mean, look, every time Ram's on screen, it's brilliant. I always think he just like Tom is so great. He brings this unhinged, chaotic energy to it, and Ram is just like a great villain.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think the ideas are good, but logistically, all of this is really messy and doesn't work for the overall story that they're telling with the Technos because they didn't know what the overall story was in the first place.
Yeah. Because the perspective is wrong. Like we've said the whole way through, the perspective should be the technos and then out. Because we've already had 3 seasons with the Mallrats, really. And this could have been a season
Mhm.
that deviated from that and gave us the technos perspectives on the Mallrats and the city. Because they're the most interesting characters. We've said this the entire way through. At this point, they're
Mhm.
the most interesting characters.
Yeah. Also, it's what he says. Before Amber shows up, he's like, "Watch out for that one. She's tricky." So
Mhm.
he's implying that he's
She's clever.
played with her before, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's another reason for Ebony to be like, "Okay, what the frick?" You know, it's really unnerving.
Mhm.
And I think Meryl did a great job conveying all of that. Just like, what the frick is going on?
I also think it. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I probably am. But I also think it shows that, unlike Ved, who just says, "Well, you're a vert. Why do you need to know? I don't share this information with verts." It shows that in Ram saying that, Amber's full of tricks and she's clever. It shows that he sees the verts as being potentially clever, tricky, and you have to keep an eye on them at all times. And I think it's the different mindset between Ram and Ved and then Mega. And I just think it's really interesting.
I don't know if it's really that deep because
Well, I said I've read too much into it. I caveated that.
at the end of the day, I mean, in one breath, all of them will like insult a vert, but then if they like a vert specifically for themselves, they have no problem them being one. Like Ram is about to propose to one, and Ved's trying to get into bed with one. So it's like that vert rhetoric doesn't actually matter all that much. It just makes them feel good, makes them feel special. But yeah, I don't think it's actually that deep. They all seem to think the same thing about any verts. Siva looks down on verts. She's sleeping with one. You know what I mean? Jay just slept with one. Like they don't really care about the difference between technos and verts.
I love it though. I love that they're all such glorious hypocrites. It's amazing. It's just fantastic.
Hey, but we shouldn't forget Liz. Jay isn't a techno, he's just working with them.
Oh yeah, he's like a contractor, a freelance contractor.
He's the only one who doesn't constantly spout the rhetoric about verts.
Mm.
He's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. They're cattle. It doesn't. We're all cattle. But yeah, I think in general it's just a really good scene, and I do like Amber's reveal because we know the technos have taken Amber, and we actually go into this. This is one of those few scenes that I think they do a great job of putting the audience in our hero's position and our lack of knowledge and what we do and do not know. Like the invasion, it's kind of chaotic so that we feel like them. We feel like these guys just appeared out of nowhere and they're everywhere all at once. Okay, cool. This scene works the same way. Ebony, we have already gotten the knowledge that Amber has been taken by the technos, but to what end and for what purpose, we do not know. We know she wasn't put in a truck and then on a plane and shipped into off screen. We know she was taken to a specific place. Some place that one of our heroes has actually already been and shouldn't have been. Someplace the technos are hiding something. So here we are in this virtual game with Ebony and Ram, seeing people who we've never met. We don't know who they are. We don't know what this is about. Whatever. We've already seen virtual reality. We've already seen that Ram can create these scenarios and it feels like you're enjoying them. Cool. And all of a sudden there is Amber. And your head is spinning because we know the technos physically have her. I think that's a really good reveal. Because you immediately go to, is she strapped down in a chair with one of these helmets on her face against her will?
Yeah.
And it's even worse.
I was going to find out what we find out is even worse than that. Yeah.
And that combined with the threat that Ram made to Ebony that if something happens to me, you're not getting out. She knows Amber might not be getting out.
As for the proposal...
Well, my dear, I'll get straight to the point. I thought I'd do this the traditional way, but you will forgive me for not getting down on one knee. Will you do me the honor of becoming my third wife?
Is there any creepier way to ask someone to join with you to be your partner? I don't think there is.
No, there isn't.
You know those videos people like to show a rejected proposal, but you have no context? Like, it's something public. Poor guy gets on one knee, girl slaps him with a guitar. You're just like, what's going on there, right? This feels like the before story. Like why she rejected the proposal. We feel bad for the guy, but if we knew the whole story, we would totally understand why he took that guitar to the face. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. Everything about it. Great setup. Great setup.
And the whole you have until the flowers die felt
It's such
very
a.
Beauty and the Beast.
It is so threatening.
Yeah.
The way he shows up with this bouquet of flowers. And I think it's perfectly acted. Meryl is great. Her body language, her facial expression, her silence. Like, what the frick is this? Especially when it goes from she was joyful when she heard the knock on the door, thinking Jay might be coming for his little afternoon delight. She's still a little thrown off from her experience in the game. And it's Ram who somehow knocked from like, you couldn't reach the door, okay? There was a techno out of sight who did the knocking. Anyway, and even the awkwardness of him wheeling in and turning the chair so he could face her, all of it. I love that the camera just let that play. So uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
then
it's
just tells
brilliant.
her, I want to collect you. I like how she asks, like, what the frick do you want to marry me for? And he just spells it out. You're a collector's piece. I just want the set. That's all you mean to me. And the hesitation to just say no thank you, because she believes this man is incredibly dangerous. And so she's got to play it just right. And never have a bouquet of flowers felt like such a bomb,
Yeah.
like such a danger before. They're so beautifully wrapped and they're just dipped in poison. I thought that was fantastic the way he did that. And it doesn't feel like she can just say no. Even though they both know she doesn't want to marry him. He knows that. But that's why he does it this way. It's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask another question? We know that he's got a camera in Ebony's bedroom. Did he watch them?
Of course he did.
Is this why? Yeah.
This is just a. I want to make sure everyone knows you're my toy.
Yeah.
Ew. Ew. Gross. Ew. I'm sorry. I forgot all about the camera, especially since they never address it, because later
No.
he acts like he's just found out something was going on with him. So maybe this was just one of the rare times he wasn't staring into Ebony's room. But ew.
I mean, it seems really coincidental. I mean, it could be the Siva thing. It could be because of the antibiotics, then he's got a sense that Siva might be trying to wriggle away. And he's like, no, I'll collect them all. And then she'll, I'll have the full set. But I think it's because he watched them having sex.
Ew.
Mm-hmm. It's the most likely scenario.
As gross as it is, it actually works better than him conveniently just not looking at a camera at the right time, because that's when he's always staring into the screen at the perfect time to see things and see everything in the plot. He should have seen this. But the future will imply he didn't. He conveniently wasn't watching her that night. But ew, gross.
I'm sorry for putting that in everybody's mind. It's just the minute I thought, is that what this is?
Yeah.
No, it's kind of like finding out that the Twilight vampires are made of some kind of crystalline material. So when they have sex, it sounds like dinner plates clacking. These are the sounds, people. This is the reality you must accept.
Wild.
But yeah, I just thought it was well acted. I thought it was a great scene. And the threat, it feels real. I'm just like, ooh, girl, what you gonna do? Because I don't think no is an option with this guy.
I think it's probably just better to say yes and get it over with than.
It's needed to see Ebony's conflict of being able to get everything she wants, like being in control again, versus the guy she actually wants.
That's actually a really nice point. Now, we know Ebony likes control. We know she likes power. If she has to pick, she usually picks those first. Love comes second, right? I like that he deliberately actually targets the things that Ebony would want, but the look on her face is suggesting for the first time she might want something other than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
None of it sounds appealing. She doesn't, like, her eyes don't light up. She doesn't seem to be like, huh, wow. I could have all this power if I was with the technos and married to this guy, and I could easily oust my sisters. There's no sense of conquest in her eyes. It's more just like, yeah, but that's not what I actually want right now. If you'd asked me last season, I would have jumped at it, but this season I got some nice arm candy. who at the moment hasn't discovered Amber's existence. So I could actually be happy.
There's no Amber, there's no Trudy, no issues.
No Danny. It's just me. It's just me.
It's just me and my sisters, but I got rid of my sisters before, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, great scene. Like, Ram literally had me scooting away from my computer screen in my desk chair. Like, nope, I don't want any of this. No, get out of my room.
Okay, cool. That leads us to our final thoughts of the episode.
We need a diversion. Anyone?
I'll do it.
I can move faster.
After the amount of time I've spent with the Ecos, I could walk over broken glass and not make a sound. That's settled then. Trudy, you draw the guards to the front. We'll sneak in.
Eventually, they distract the guards and enter the building where they find disturbing human experiments and Amber one of the subjects. So yeah, what did you make of the raid and the revelations of the more sinister side to the techno regime?
I really like that scene when they're actually in the building and they push that, is it like a black sack away? And then suddenly we get a sort of shot of the four of them there, and we see the horror on their face before we actually see the reveal of the experiment. I really like that.
Yeah, that's an A+ reveal. This is another one where I pretty much love everything about it. I love the banter in the beginning, the interpersonal conflicts that are being displayed, because this is a group of people with all these different points of view and opinions of each other and history. This banter made sense, the way they are talking to each other. Yes, they're all focused on the mission, but that doesn't mean your personal feelings about people and what they've chosen to do just disappear when you're in the middle of something. It really took me back to, say, like season 2, when they do attempt to save Trudy from the cave. There was just a lot of back and forth. Let's focus. So that felt very real. I think it works logistically for the most part, even though it's like, wouldn't the technos have cameras? They would have spotted these flamingos out in the grass very easily. But okay, fine. They didn't see them, I guess. Otherwise, I like the way it plays out. Distraction, we get in the building, fine. Okay. That reveal really makes up for any flaws in how easily they actually did get in, right? Because they did get in really easy, especially how the technos have been set up. They get in really easily. But that reveal, the way they're walking into the building, ducking into corridors, I'm not finding anything, and then Lex pushes what he just thinks is a hanging bag in front of him, and then you just see their looks on their faces, and then we see, and I'm just like, that is horrific. I don't care what reality you're living in. That is horrific. You are just seeing these people strung up and the twitching, their eyes just wide open, locked into space. Like, whoa. Damn, that was really well done. I was like, it was the first time the show's had a horror element added to it.
And it worked.
Because it seemed like this belongs in a thriller. It's like, ay.
It felt very Frankenstein's monster, and obviously they referenced that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. It's all so unsettling.
And I mean, well, yeah. I mean, you just see it and you think, how are you even going to unhook these people from this without killing them?
It's just the question of what's even being done to them.
Yeah.
Because
are
again,
they still alive?
We, the audience, at this point now have context for what is obviously happening to them. Because we saw Amber in the game, now we see her hooked up. We can put 2 and 2 together. But once again, the heroes, they have no idea what this means. It's just not good, whatever it is. Finding these kids in this state, not good. But they don't have context for why they're here, how they're being used, what all these gadgets locked onto them even mean.
Yeah, and then the automatic thing you're going to think is this is happening to their loved ones.
Right, and it's one of the rare times where they trust the audience to put the pieces together rather than just stating clearly what's happening to these kids.
Because, I mean, before this point, they could kind of live in a fool's paradise. Like, their loved ones are somewhere else, maybe working in a work camp. And that's horrible, but some of them have been in work camps. I mean, not any of this group, but, if Jack had been there, he's been in a work camp, Chloe's been in a work camp. But this is something completely different.
Yeah, the hand twitching. Whew,
Yeah.
that really
Mhm.
got me because they're again, we the audience know they are being stimulated. They are in this game. They aren't just images on a screen. They are just as locked in,
Mhm.
only they are completely trapped. They can't take the helmet off.
Mm.
They're locked in the state of mind of fighting for their survival and being killed over and over again.
Mm.
Because in the game, you actually see the first group approaches Ram and Ebony. He shoots them all, so they all disappear.
Mhm.
But then they regenerate again. The same group of kids come at them again. So that for us, we can put two and two together. This is just, they're on a loop, having to do this over and over again at someone else's sadistic pleasure. And they can't close their eyes. That's the creepiest part of all.
Mhm.
I wish I could find the enjoyment that you guys have found in this, but I can't. I hated the
Really?
whole setup, the whole scenario, the whole tech, Matrix level. It's just, I just found it all out of place and ridiculous for me. But that's just, I just couldn't find enjoyment in it. I tried, really did, but yeah, I hate it. Everything about
Fair. It's fair. I understand, Lex. I guess at this point, the rest of us have just been forced to accept this ridiculous tech is the world we're living in and just have to take it. But I completely understand where you're coming from. Like, yeah, the tech makes no sense. It doesn't belong here. But I guess it is what it is. So, didn't you know it's a sci-fi show now? Like, what? Didn't you get the memo?
it. That brings Series 4, Episode 20 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and you can show your support by clicking on that like and subscribe, and following us on all the major platforms. You can also leave us a comment or get in touch if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast yourself. Just search for thetribe.co.uk or Conversations on Eagle Mountain. You can also throw us a donation. Just head on over to buymeacoffee.com/thetribe.co.uk. And we'll see you next time for episode 21. Until then, bye.
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 Bye.